Whether it's a product for home or business, farm or factory, you can be sure if it's Westinghouse.
No luck?
None.
But keep trying.
Why?
Something may happen.
Yeah, something has to happen, doesn't it?
Yeah.
How long have we got, Johnny?
About 30 seconds or less. Best thing is to just not think about it.
How?
Now, this is it, kid.
Put the nose down, Johnny. It's better if it's quick.
Sergeant, stand by the raft. Do you hear me, Sergeant? Get ready to ditch. Stand by the raft.
Yes. What is it?
Well, it sure ain't a missing hut.
Did you see a light?
No. Come on, you all right?
Yeah.
What's the matter?
You might wake up the whole place.
That's what I'm trying to do. Must be a switch here or something.
Oh, Johnny.
Holy mackerel. It's 2 minutes slow. What's the matter?
I don't know. We are awake, aren't we?
I don't know. Let's find out.
Ow!
You're awake, Sergeant. Oh, that's more than I can say for myself.
You tired?
This feels good. Plenty tired. Flying blind for 7 hours is a stinker at best, but when your instruments go bad on you...
Yeah, I know. Where are we, Johnny?
I don't know. Somewhere between Australia and one of the Americas. Probably south.
It's not very definite, is it?
No. Rather an interesting situation, don't you think?
Gives me the creeps. Oh, I feel like screaming.
Well, why don't you scream? Then we'll find out if anybody's living here.
No.
Why not? Afraid it might be a Fiji Islander ready to hang your head on his belt?
No.
Well, then why not scream?
Because the man who owns this place is named Baston.
Baston?
On all the book plates. From the books of Hugo Baston. Must be a very literate gent.
Hugo Baston?
Yeah.
Say, he's not literary any longer. He's dead.
What? How do you know?
It was a famous air tragedy. That was before the war. You wouldn't remember. You were probably on roller skates.
Does anybody know what happened?
Yeah, well, this guy Baston was a big picture director, English, and had his own plane.
Yeah?
Seems they started out, he and some friends started on a flight for Honolulu, and all anybody knows is that they were never seen or heard of again.
Yeah.
That's the...
Well,
search went on for weeks.
Don't
but-
elaborate.
Gosh, you know, somebody must have bought himself this place and made a nice, cozy little nest of it.
Yeah, only I wouldn't. Johnny!
Dick, don't do that, please.
But
You're
look at
getting
these
me right.
magazines. The New Yorker, Newsweek, Time,
What about
Life,
them? What about
Harper's. The dates, they're all dated 1939. Look.
Say, that's about when the accident happened. My gosh, this place has just been sitting here for 11 years.
Oh, that's impossible, Johnny.
Why?
Oh, it's all too perfect. Look,
Well,
there's
it must
not
be-
a speck of dust anyplace.
Must be a caretaker or something takes care of it.
Oh, it's sinister, Johnny.
Scared?
Oh, shut up. If I had a drink, maybe I'd feel better. If I had a drink or something.
Say, that's not a bad idea. Wouldn't mind one myself. Must be a bar around here somewhere.
Over there. What's in there?
A bar.
It's absolutely
Hey.
ghoulish.
Aristocratic taste, too. John Haig, Hanky Bannister, yellow chartreuse. What do you have? Let's try this.
Anything but make it straight. Oh, Johnny.
What?
Look.
Ice. Well, let's have some ice.
Yes.
Hey.
Ice doesn't last 11 years, Johnny.
No, well, that does it. We need a drink. We not only need it, we deserve it.
I don't like the looks of it, Johnny.
Well, this will make us feel better. Salute. Very good. Say, I thought you were the one that wanted to drink.
Oh, I do.
Feeling better?
No.
I love you, Sarge. The best thing for you to do is just drink your drink and give your imagination a rest.
What did you say?
Oh, I said you're too tired to think properly?
Oh, no, you said something else.
I did?
Oh.
I didn't, did I?
Oh. Too tired to remember?
No, but forget it. You know, the Defense Department frowns on mixed unit personnel getting sentimental on assignment. Love is just a nuisance at a time like this.
Is it? Things being the way they are, I'd say it was just as well. It gives the whole thing a shading of respectability, at least.
Well, maybe, but I don't want you to think that
Oh,
I'm...
don't you, Johnny?
Yes, I do.
I hoped you would.
Say, when did you discover this, Sergeant?
Oh, I don't know, Lieutenant. Weeks ago. Does it matter?
Not a bit. Still scared?
Oh, not in the least.
I beg your pardon. I was reading upstairs, and I thought I heard something. It startled me for a moment. And now to turn the tables, I find I startled you.
No, not a bit.
Lady dead? Oh, but perhaps not. Love is an amazing counter-irritant. But please allow me to introduce myself. My name is Hugo Baston.
Hugo Baston? You can't be. He's dead.
Oh, very true. He died exactly 14 minutes past 12 on the morning of April 26, 1939. That was the moment at which I cut the radio in our plane and severed connections with the outside world. I ceased to exist. But from my own purely egocentric point of view, my existence ceased and my life began at one and the same instant in time.
I don't think I understand that.
Don't try. The explanation of my Lazarean presence is long and involved. It's far too late now to start it. But I do feel as a host it might be as well if I knew your names and how you got here.
Oh, I'm John Quayle, Lieutenant USN. We were flying along, ran out of gas, and were forced to make a landing here.
Oh, I see. How do you do, Lieutenant?
How are you?
And you, I gather, are not Mrs. Quayle.
Why do you gather that?
Perhaps you've forgotten that I interrupted you a moment ago. I seem to detect a certain spontaneous fervor that was not consonant with habitual intimacy. But don't misunderstand me, Miss...
Marsh. Shirley Marsh.
How do you do, Miss Marsh? Please don't misunderstand me. I don't belittle the institution of marriage. Quite the contrary. I have very strong feelings about its importance.
Well, so do I, but I don't see what that...
You will, Miss Marsh. You will. And now, won't you both sit down and allow me to freshen your drinks?
Thanks very much.
Thank you.
From the insignia on your arm, Miss Marsh, I gather that you're a sergeant.
Yes, in the Marine Corps.
Oh, really? Are all United States Marines women these days, or merely the sergeants?
No, we're a branch of the service. We were started during the war.
Oh, I see. Then I was right. There was a war. Is it still going on, or are you merely preparing for the next one?
No, the war was over 5 years ago, Mr. Baston.
And I gather we won it.
Yeah, we won.
Lasted 6 years. It wasn't very funny.
No, I'm sure it wasn't. But now that you've had 5 years to celebrate your triumph, I imagine that another war is already imminent. Good heavens, it's not the United States and England this time.
No. The trouble is here in the Pacific, and it's ugly and complicated, too.
Oh, that's rather closer than I would have wished. I should have much preferred it to be limited to Europe.
Well, your own people might be wiped out if it were.
My own people number exactly 9, Miss Marsh. All of them live here on this island. This is my empire. A world of peace and quiet, with a few vestiges of old world graciousness.
There are other people living here?
As I said, 9, including my chef, who incidentally would be very happy to prepare you something to eat. Please forgive me. I should have thought of that before.
What does it all mean, Johnny?
Beats me, baby. I don't know.
I don't like it, and I don't like him.
Why not?
He's too smooth, too smug.
Oh, he seems like a reasonably nice guy.
Yeah?
You know, I wonder what it's like to have missed 11 full years. A whole war. Maybe that's why he seems so out of this world.
Yeah, but how do you suppose he managed to live? What do you want to disappear for like this? Brad, where do you think he
It's a
got...
little late to answer all of those questions, Miss Marsh, but I should be very glad to answer any one you select.
Aren't you interested in finding out anything from us? Wouldn't you like some news of the outside world?
None whatever. My interest in the destiny of mankind, Lieutenant, ended in approximately the year 1850. There's been little to record since then but the decadence of the human spirit and the vulgarizing of the human mind. 600 years of struggle to achieve the dignity of individual liberty left the world exhausted. No strength remained to combat the monstrous attack of the machine. The day the first piece of cheap machine-made lace replaced the wonder of its Belgian equivalent. On that day, the god of mediocrity, the god of vulgarity was enshrined. But don't misunderstand me, Miss Marsh. I'm no heroic exception to this rule. I also worshipped at that shrine. I was in Hollywood in 1939. I was paid a fabulous sum of money, not because I made any contribution whatever to the art of motion pictures, but solely because I had developed a facility for coating cheap untruths and vulgar sentiments with a frosting of spurious culture. In the end, and in a spirit of deep disgust, I rebelled. But I soon found I was not alone. I found there were many others quite as eager as I to escape from the unmannered wetwash in which we were living. The plan was hatched over a period of 3 years. It was to be no temporary vacation, but a permanent severance. All roads to escape were destroyed. We came here, we burned our plane, and here we are. Naturally, none of us will ever go back. Now you've listened with admirable attentiveness, I think you have earned your reward. I will ask Sue to bring you your supper immediately.
Say, just a minute, Mr. Baston. What did you mean when you said that none of you would ever go back?
Just that.
Oh, but surely some boat, something stops here.
It never has.
Never?
Never.
Well, then, how are we going to get away?
You're not.
What?
No, I should be enchanted to entertain you as my guest indefinitely, Miss Marsh. But you will not get away. Ever. As I foresaw the need for matches and fertilizer and thread and even the ice in your drinks, I also foresaw the danger that one of us might change his mind. I can't stop your desire to escape, but I can guarantee that you will not do so.
You can't keep us here.
No? I think I can, Lieutenant. And now Sue will show you to your rooms as soon as you're ready. Good night, Miss Marsh. Good night, Lieutenant.
Supper is all ready. What time you like to have breakfast in morning?
Yes, it's a surely morning.
Hello.
Good morning, Edith. Well, what's this Sue tells us about visitors?
It's quite true. 2 Americans. They landed last night in the farm. Hugo heard them staring about and came down to find them in a rather ardent embrace. What made it a little unusual was the fact that one of them was a lieutenant in the Navy and the other a Marine.
Impossible.
That's what Hugo thought till he discovered the Marine was unmistakably feminine.
I see. Or do I?
Tell me, have you seen them yet?
No, and I don't expect to for some time. They were quite exhausted.
Oh, well, they must know everything, all that has happened. Didn't Hugo get anything interesting from them?
Very little. Hugo, I gather, did most of the talking. He enjoyed it enormously. Kept me awake for almost an hour telling me all the interesting things he'd said.
Oh, he's a complete egotist. Well, I'm going across to the lab. I trust if they come down, you will let me know.
Of course.
Hello. I hear a breath of life has descended on us.
Yes.
And a military mission, no less. Are we being attacked or defended?
They are young, with their illusions intact. I trust both of you will respect that fact.
How can anyone tell, darling? After all, a man isn't something that happens every day.
There have been 4 men on this island for 11 years, Gloria. 3 of them at least have been available to you exclusively.
Gloria takes small comfort in that, Edith. She can't bear to look at any of us anymore. Every wrinkle in our faces, every graying hair is like a reflection of her own waning youth. She's hungry for a young, unfurrowed face.
If you'd learn to write as well as you talk, darling, you might be quite successful. Forgive me? I'm going to the beach.
That was very cruel, Dan.
Yes. We've sustained a moratorium on venom for some time. It was probably more comfortable for everyone. Sorry.
Stefan, you look so sad. Did that little outburst depress you?
No, no, I did not even hear it. It is these young people. They bring the odor of war and destruction with them. It took so long to get rid of terror. I had begun to work again. Now they are here, they will remind us. There will be no peace left, none.
Oh, no, Stefan, they're so young.
The worst cruelty is born of youth. It has not yet learned to imagine the ugliness of pain.
Perhaps. And yet, one of them's coming now. Leave me alone with her for a moment, will you, Stefan? You might even play for us. Good morning, my dear. I hope you slept well.
Very.
This is Mr. Stefan Baum, Miss Shirley Marsh.
Fräulein.
Stefan was just going to play for me.
Oh, yes, yes.
You even know my name.
Hugo woke me up especially to tell me. I'm Mrs. Baston, in case you're confused.
Oh,
Hugo has a way of forgetting to mention it. Won't you sit down?
thank you.
That uniform can't be very comfortable in this climate, I'm afraid.
Oh, I'm used to it.
I'm sure we can fit you out. Gloria brought the equivalent of 4 trousseaux with her. She was an actress, you know.
Well, I'm afraid she wouldn't like
Oh,
the
Gloria
idea.
hardly ever wears anything at all. She has plenty to spare.
Oh, I see.
She and Dan are taking a swim now. Would you care to join them?
Oh, no thanks.
Were you planning to marry the young man who's with you?
Well, yes, we'd hope to.
Well, we haven't the facilities for a full legal ceremony, I'm afraid, but I think we can make you reasonably comfortable.
But we still wouldn't be married.
In the sight of God? Under the circumstances, there's nobody else's point of view to bother about. Of course, you're perfectly free to do whatever you choose. Now I must go and see what we're to have for lunch. Would you like to come along?
You forgot me, Edith. You did not let me know.
Oh, Heinrich, I'm sorry. This is Miss Marsh, Dr. Mozart. I'll leave you two to get acquainted while I upset the kitchen.
I want to ask you a question, young lady. You don't happen to have a cold in the head, do you?
What? No, should I?
No, oh, that is most disappointing.
Well, I'm sorry, but why?
Well, I have been here more than 10 years. I've had my own laboratory. I have worked hard. I have made tremendous strides. But always there is a catch in it, always.
Oh, what's the catch?
The climate is too good.
Too good.
Yes. Don't laugh, young lady. I have devoted my life to research, and I have found something of inestimable importance to mankind. I have found a cure for the common cold. Yes.
Hi.
Oh.
Oh, Johnny, darling. Dr. Mawson, Lieutenant Clare.
Morning.
Do you have a cold in the head?
No. Why?
Then you're no use to me. No use whatsoever.
Hey, what's the matter with him? Is he slightly nuts?
No, he's just frustrated. Hey, where have you been? I thought you were asleep.
No, I went down to take a look at the plane.
How is it?
Oh, it'll still fly, but without gas, it might as well be on a junk heap.
Oh, don't give up, Johnny. We'll find a way out of this.
Yeah. Listen, how about that radio of ours? Any chance of getting it to work?
I thought of that. I'll slip down this afternoon and see what I can do.
Good girl.
Huh? I don't feel a bit like a good girl right now.
Well, that's the best news today. You know, it'd be a dreary prospect for us both if you did.
We might find a more secluded spot.
Yeah, we might. Does it really matter much?
No.
Oh, forgive me. I seem to have the most unhappy faculty for arriving at the least convenient moment.
It's his theatrical instinct. I'm Edith Baston. You're Lieutenant Quayle, of course.
Yes, good morning.
I must warn you, Lieutenant, that Edith is the nicest woman I know. She has an insidious capacity, however, for discovering the very things you most want to conceal from her. I believe I'm practically the only man alive quite willing to admit that his wife understands him completely.
Well, maybe you understand, Mrs. Baston, why your husband should try to keep us here.
Yes, I think I do. I also understand your resentment. You do resent it, don't you, Lieutenant?
I sure do.
I think you have every right. And I'm quite sure we'll all feel a great deal better if you get it off your chest as soon as possible.
I don't have anything to get off my chest. All I want to do is get out. Now, whether you all stay or not makes no difference to me whatever.
Well, but you see, Lieutenant, it does to me.
Why?
Lieutenant, your mode of living and mine are so far apart that I doubt that it would even be worthwhile to discuss it. I don't think you'd understand what I was talking about.
That's rather patronizing of you, isn't it, Hugo?
Possibly.
Look, condescension to one side. Would you mind answering me just a simple question? If we try to get off this island, are you going to try and stop us?
I am.
How?
Oh, Lieutenant, I have no intention of revealing that. In the first place, I don't know. I hadn't even thought about it. But I've found over the course of years that when some threat arose, I generally was able to cope with it.
Threat to what? Your comfort and security?
Precisely. From the little you've told me, Lieutenant, I gather that things outside have got no better. They've got rather worse. It's not a world in which I choose to live.
And I don't choose to live here.
You may in time, Lieutenant. You're very young yet.
You're really quite a remarkable man. You know, you've accomplished quite a feat. To see what was coming and save your neck. To be able to sit here in the sunshine with your sherry and your books and your frozen food locker while millions of people were starving and fighting and dying, and you feel no shame. It's remarkable. Remarkable. You know, all that stuff about old world graciousness is just a fancy frosting for the truth, and the truth is you were a coward and you ran out. You don't want to participate in the world as it is today because you're afraid of it. Well, a lot of people are afraid and unhappy and dissatisfied with the mess the world's in. But they're sticking around ready to do what they can to make the best of it and ready to pay for their mistakes or their stupidity or whatever you want to call it. Go ahead, sit here on your empire. We don't need you. But Shirley and I are going to get it back to where we belong, and don't you try to stop us, I warn you.
What a pity, Lieutenant, that the Navy grabbed you. You'd have made an invaluable addition to the United States Senate. And now I certainly think you've earned a glass of sherry. Allow me to get it for you.
Edith, who is this young man? I'd like to meet him.
Now that you've seen part one of Away From It All, let's turn to our Westinghouse program. One hand behind my back. Well, I wonder what Betty Fredess is going to do with one hand behind her back like that.
Come with me, and I'll show you what every one of you can do single-handed. Here, you can tune in this wonderful new Westinghouse television set with just one hand like this, because it has the sensational new Westinghouse single-dial control. There's no more fussing with several dials. You just turn this one dial, and you're tuned in perfectly. Now, in the set that you're watching now, does a channel ever come in like this and give you only sound? Or, when the picture comes in clear like this, is the sound ever so hard to get that all you hear is this? Well, that never happens with this wonderful new Westinghouse set because of the miracle of Westinghouse synchro tuning. Picture and sound come in together just like that. And once tuned, this set stays locked in tune. Now, here's something that will really amaze you. Here's the size of the screen in most table models. Now, let's compare it with this new Westinghouse screen. There. Now, that's quite a difference, isn't it? Engineering improvements give you a huge 17-inch rectangular screen in this wonderfully compact new Westinghouse set. And it gives you a black glass tube, which means that you get a clear, sharp picture even in daylight. Now, this set also has a built-in antenna, and that means that in many areas there's no installation of any kind. You save the entire cost of it. So why put up with a set that isn't really up to date and has an old-fashioned small screen when you can get this wonderful new 17-inch Westinghouse set at a modest price? Just ask your dealer for the Westinghouse Linwood. There's no other set in its price range that compares with it. You can be sure if it's Westinghouse.
And now let's return to Westinghouse Studio 1 and Away From It All.
Any luck?
How did you get in here?
I followed you. That's quite a tribute if you but knew it. I generally start serious drinking by this time in the day. But things being as they are, any new face is a big help. A pretty face is a miracle.
Look, Mr. Delaney, I'm going to marry Lieutenant Quayle. I'm out of circulation.
Do you suspect that I had any dishonorable intentions in following you?
Yes?
You're dead right.
You're wasting your time.
You may also be wasting yours. Have you any idea where Lieutenant Quayle has been all this time you've been wasting your time with those vacuum tubes?
Not precisely, no.
Nor I, precisely. But I spotted a predatory gleam in Gloria's eye as we came out from lunch. My guess is Lieutenant Quayle is going to have his hands full for some time.
Quite as much your problem as mine, isn't it?
No, not exactly, because I don't care and you do. There's one other thing you care about, and that I share with you. You care a lot about the job you've been doing this afternoon.
This is routine maintenance, nothing more.
Is it? I think you're here because it's desperately important to you to try to get a message to someone outside. But I think it only fair to warn you that it's just as desperately important to Hugo Baston that you don't. He can be quite ruthless if he feels it necessary.
How long were you waiting outside before you came in here?
A couple of hours.
You weren't waiting for me then, but for him.
Let's say for the both of you.
I see. You know him pretty well, don't you?
I should. I wrote for him for 6 years. Made a fortune for me. He also killed whatever honesty or ability I ever had. Obviously, it couldn't have been much or I'd have rebelled sooner. And yet, if I ever stayed sober for 24 hours, I might cut his throat. Fortunately, for both of us, he is generous and his liquor supply is excellent and abundant.
Thanks for warning me and for standing guard.
Now answer me the most important question. Are you going to get that thing working?
I don't know. I wish I felt a little more certain.
I was afraid of that. Well, at least I can help you pack.
Thanks.
May I come in?
Yeah, sure. Come in.
Oh, I'm sorry. Have I made a mistake? I thought this was Shirley's room.
No, it is. Come on in.
Aren't you getting a little impatient, Lieutenant? We haven't even arranged an illegal ceremony yet.
Oh, it's nothing serious. I just want to see Shirley. Oh, may I help you?
Oh, thanks. It's all right. I borrowed these from Gloria. I thought Shirley might like a change from that military get-up of hers. What in the world do Marines use for lingerie? Don't answer that question. If you don't know, it's no help to me, and if you do, I don't want to hear about it.
Look, I'd like to ask you a question, and you don't have to answer it if you don't want to.
You going to be as frank with me as you were with Hugo?
You weren't angry then?
No, because you're very young and only half right. It's true Hugo shrinks from physical violence and physical pain, but on the other hand, his abhorrence of a world without manner or dignity or graciousness is equally genuine. He respects tradition and longs for a spiritual regeneration. His tragedy was that he was born too late. Quite incidentally, we've been married for 24 years. I was in love with him then, and I'm still in love with him. Now, go ahead and ask your question.
No. There's no need to now. I was just puzzled as to why you'd agreed to come here.
I'll give you one piece of advice, Lieutenant. Have children quickly. You'll be less tempted to run away, and your wife will be less tempted to follow you. Hello. You have every right to be here. I have very little, and Johnny has none.
Oh, I don't mind a bit. I only hope I'm not going to be late for dinner.
I brought you some things to change into. If that makes you late, I'm sure you'll be forgiven.
Thank you.
Say, maybe I'd better go, too, so you can...
No, wait a second, Johnny. Johnny, I'm scared more than ever now.
What's the matter? Couldn't you get the radio transmitter to work?
No, but worse than that, I had a surprise visitor while I was in the plane.
Yeah, who?
Mr. Delaney, and he came to warn me about Baston. Gee, Johnny, we got to be careful, terribly careful, both of us.
Yeah, I know.
Hey, where have you been?
With Malson.
Not, Gloria?
No, I haven't even seen her yet.
All right, then.
You know, I've been trying to figure out where we are. This is just a rough calculation, but as near as I can figure it, here is where we are.
Here?
Oh, here. 1,000 miles off any trade route I can find. You know, the Navy may go on looking for us for a couple of days, but if we don't get some signal out to them before that, well, we're out of luck.
Well, you know Baston never let us do that.
Now, he's got it.
Well, we got to be smart.
Yeah. How?
Well, we're going to need all the help we can get, so we might start by trying to find out who really wants to get away from here and who doesn't.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea. Look, tonight after dinner, we get everybody together, and then...
Yeah.
Before long, if we keep the conversation going right, we can find out who is interested and who isn't.
And
look, it's all right with me, but do you know that you're going to be undressed in about 1 minute?
oh, good heavens. I didn't even think about it.
No, neither did I, but I'm beginning to.
Well, then it's time you got out of here, Johnny.
You know, I don't think it's going to be too difficult being married to you.
Say that 10 years from now and I'll be impressed. Right now, you're merely acting like a male.
Well, is that bad?
I hope not. Now get out of here. Quickly.
Okay.
Here come Mr. Delaney.
I'll pause you.
Thank you. So light lantern make big welcome for American guests.
Go right ahead. Benedictine or brandy?
Nothing.
Oh, I see. Waiting to get your stimulant later, is that it?
How did you do this afternoon? I saw you coming back arm in arm with our little Miss March. You looked rather pleased with yourself.
Not exactly.
Give her time, my darling. A few weeks in this dreary paradise, and she may see things quite differently.
I'm not sure she'll stay around that long.
How do they plan to get away?
I don't know, but I rather think she and the lieutenant will find a way out.
Oh, what a pity. I'd rather look forward to something easy and unhurried. In that case, I may have to step up the pace.
He may be a little tougher than you know. He had quite a war record, I understand.
A little recklessness is all to the good. Johnny,
Yeah?
come out and join us. We're lonely.
Sure, why not?
What Gloria means is she'd like you to keep her company while I start getting tight. Dinner being late, I'm a little behind schedule.
Dan did that rather gracefully, I think. I must remember to congratulate him.
Oh, it sounds like a plot.
It was. I've been trying to get a moment alone with you ever since you arrived. You've been unusually evasive.
Well, it wasn't intentional.
That's what made it so irritating. Or perhaps you haven't thought what it would be like to have no one to talk to but a frightened little musician, an aging ex-movie director, and a total alcoholic. Oh, goodness, I forgot the professor. Maybe that's because he's only noticed me once in 11 years.
When was that?
I sneezed one night after dinner.
What did he do, nail you down in his lab?
No, he vultured over me for a while. When he finally decided I wasn't going to sneeze again, he began reading the medical journal aloud.
Well, did you learn anything?
I learned not to sneeze.
You used to be an actress, didn't you?
Oh, not really. I was merely young. For a while, that was enough. Then I had the misfortune to meet Hugo. I'm afraid I made rather a fool of myself over him for a while. That's one of the main reasons I came out here. It wasn't very bright of me. All I can say for myself is that I hadn't met Edith then.
You know, you're being very frank.
Would you like me better if I weren't?
No. I like it. It's very unusual.
Oh, goodness, here they are. Stefan, do play for us.
Oh, it is hard what you ask, Edith. Music is a matter of feeling, mood. Mood is not right. But I will try. No, it is wrong. The notes are green like the leaves in the forest of Ishmael, full of loneliness and wonder and compassion. That is the music I understand. But here's khaki, ugly brown. They tramped earth under the soldiers' feet, the dry earth of the concentration camp. All the green shuffled out, trampled out, cruel without blood. Forgive me, Edith. I cannot go on. I cannot play.
It's all right, Stefan.
Is it? Look, how many of you really feel that it is all right? How many of you are satisfied with what you've done? You, Dan. You used to write. You must have liked it, had something to say. What have you got to say now?
Nothing.
And you, Dr. Molson, you're a scientist. Has it occurred to you, Doctor, that you may no longer know the vocabulary of your trade? For example, what's the formula for penicillin?
It is a word I do not know. You are telling me they have gone past me. Is that it?
Yes. And you, Baum, you're a sensitive man. The tones you call brown are cold and full of tears to you. Brown doesn't mean that to me at all. You know what brown means to me? Oklahoma. It's not Beethoven, but I like it. Here.
Oh, what a beautiful morning. Oh, what a beautiful day. I've got a beautiful feeling. Everything's going my way.
I seldom feel it necessary to exercise the prerogative of host, but I am responsible for the composure of my guests. This was a crude but disturbing influence, Lieutenant. I must ask you to stop playing.
You really think it was? Well, maybe that's enough for the first lesson, then. I leave you all to sleep on it.
Well, after this brief unpleasantness, I think it might be as well if we all had a drink. Edith. Edith.
You make look at plane tonight, Lieutenant?
Oh, I hadn't planned to. Why?
I think you should look at plane. 10 minutes, yes?
Yeah. Yeah, sure, Sue. Thanks.
It's nothing.
You certainly make a lady go through a lot to find you, don't you?
Well, I didn't exactly want to be found.
You've made that point, Lieutenant. There's no need to labor it. Very cozy. You're not exactly equipped for l'amour, is it?
No.
I chose a bad moment.
Yes, as a matter of fact, you did.
You have a date with someone else. I'm quite aware of that.
You are?
Certainly. I know you plan to make a getaway. I also know that you don't intend to take me with you. I'd only be in the way. Under those circumstances, you leave me very little choice.
So, you want to get away too, then?
No, I'm not sure. At any rate, that isn't the reason I followed you here.
No?
No. Do you good. You make me feel 10 years younger. It's quite obvious you're looking ahead. Well, so am I. I see quite clearly what it's going to be like. I even see what I'm going to be like. It isn't very much to look forward to. Of course, I might arrange to keep you here, then I wouldn't have to be so obvious.
You know, you're making no sense whatsoever.
Well, Hugo might rather resent your meeting Sue here tonight, you know.
What do you mean?
I wouldn't like to have to tell him, but I might. Also, I might not. Never breathe a word.
If what?
Don't look so young, Lieutenant. I find you practically irresistible.
Look, I don't want to be rude, but I may very easily be.
Yes, I'm prepared for that. It doesn't matter. Nothing matters out here, not even a lady's pride.
You know, I hadn't expected to feel sorry for you, but I do.
Don't pity. Someday when you're older, you may understand why I did that. It wasn't very rewarding. But it was better than nothing. Well, I won't keep Sue waiting any longer. Must be getting restless.
Lieutenant,
Yeah, what is it, Sue? What did you want to tell me?
come with Sue. Sue'll show you. Come.
Yeah, right away.
Who is it?
Edith.
Oh, come on in.
It's late, I know.
Oh, that's all right. Come on in. Sit down.
You know, it's very silly of me. I feel quite embarrassed.
Why?
Well, I don't like dramatics, but I feel I've got to warn you.
Warn me. You too. I know Gloria followed Johnny. I know they're together probably right now, but I'm not worried.
I wasn't thinking about Gloria. It's Hugo.
Oh, he was very angry, wasn't he?
It's worse than anger. He's frightened. I've never seen him this way before. I don't know what he has on his mind. I only know he's been pacing up and down in his room for the last hour. This means more to him than you know. He can be very cruel.
Why have you come to tell me this?
I don't know. Partly to save you, partly to save him.
I see.
That's really all, except
What?
another time. Come in, Lieutenant. I suppose as a proper hostess, I oughtn't to say that.
Oh, I just want to see Shirley for a minute.
A minute?
A minute.
Oh, well, that's all right, then.
What is it, Johnny?
Well, baby, I know this is going to be a blow to you, but we're going to get away tomorrow night.
What?
There are 5,000 gallons of high-octane gasoline on this
I
island.
don't believe it.
No, I've seen him.
Oh, Johnny, are you sure it's not some trick?
No, no trick. Now, there's only one catch.
And now let's pause for a moment and look at our program again. Stop? I wonder what Betty Furness wants to stop for. Let's ask her.
I want to stop you from being fooled by some of the things you hear these days about self-defrosting refrigerators. Now, there are so many different claims that I think perhaps the best way to clear it up is for me to show you this. The one refrigerator in the whole world that never needs defrosting any time or any place. The wonderful new Westinghouse frost-free refrigerator. Now, perhaps you've seen this claim. Well, now, of course, there's no reason to defrost any refrigerator here in the middle shelves. Up here is where those words belong, up on the freeze chest, the only place in any refrigerator where frost ever builds up. But there's never any need to defrost any part of this Westinghouse refrigerator because it always keeps itself frost-free. Now, have you ever seen this claim? Now, what is the point in a refrigerator defrosting itself every night? Well, there's no point at all, because unless you're opening the door constantly, there's no reason to defrost the refrigerator every night. This Westinghouse frost-free refrigerator defrosts itself only when it's actually needed, the very moment that frost starts to build up. Now, here's something that I want you to see. Here's what happens to ice cream and other so-called automatic refrigerators during defrosting. You see, the ice cream melted, the flavors ran together, and then it froze up again. But now, look at this ice cream. In the Westinghouse frost-free refrigerator, ice cream stays hard and firm like this all the time, because defrosting takes place so fast that nothing in the freeze chest has even the merest chance to melt. Now, some refrigerators that claim to be automatic don't get rid of the defrost water, and then you have to empty messy drip pans and... Oh, dear, that happens so often. But with the Westinghouse frost-free refrigerator, the moment that frost starts to build up here on the freeze chest, the magic frost-free system goes to work. It quickly melts what little frost has gathered, the tiny amount of defrost water is drained off, and is automatically evaporated. So, when you buy a new refrigerator, why don't you get the most automatic one of all? The only refrigerator that is always frost-free. Remember, you can be sure if it's Westinghouse.
We return now to Westinghouse Studio 1 and away from it all.
I think I'll wait for the others. How you feeling tonight, Sue? Strong? You got a big night's work ahead of you.
Plane ready 2, 3 o'clock.
Good, good.
People come.
Think we might have our coffee on the terrace, don't you? We seem to have a clear night for a change.
I like the mist. It's like a protection.
Oh, Stefan, you have no soul. Full moon, cool breeze coming
I
over the
always
water.
find the classics the most rewarding of all. They never let you down.
Well, I know, Judge. I'm too horribly illiterate.
The way you look tonight, young lady, you have no need of intellect. You would be quite complete with no mind at all.
Oh, thank you, Hugo. You're being gallant. It's been a long time since you've made that much effort.
Well, I'm feeling rather well tonight, as a matter of fact.
Help yourselves to coffee, everyone. Hugo has a very important announcement to make to all of us.
Oh, what? Well, it's not as ominous as Edith makes it sound. I suggest we have our coffee first.
This is an evening for Mozart. I expect it would be inappropriate if Hugo is going to make a speech.
Black Shirley?
Oh, yes, please, and Johnny takes a little sugar.
Smart girl.
This whole gathering reminds me of a line from Marcus Aurelius.
If we're to have it, let's have it.
Is that the consensus?
Appears to be, my dear.
What a pity. I should so much have preferred to wait. However, it has recently come to my attention that Lieutenant Quayle intends to leave this island secretly somewhere between the hours of 2 and 3 tomorrow morning. Have I quoted your plans correctly, Lieutenant?
Go on.
This, of course, we might ascribe to the recklessness of youth. But it has also come to my attention that certain more mature members of this gathering not only have known of the lieutenant's plans, but have actually offered to help him. Is that so?
Yes.
Why, it never occurred to me that you would be the one member of this group to admit the truth. However, that's of small moment. What does matter and what is important is why any of you should wish to leave.
Why did you persuade us to join you here in the first place? Why have you kept us here against our wills ever since?
Those are two separate questions, Dan. I shall have to answer them once at a time. As I recall, none of you had to be persuaded very hard. Each of you grasped at an opportunity to escape almost before it was offered to you.
Go on.
My reasons for insisting that you remain here were slightly more personal. This was a very serious adventure for me. I came here less to avoid the horrors of war than to avoid the even grimmer prospects of peace. The scrabbling and bickering, the treaties and compromises that would follow after a war was over. War breeds starvation and bitterness and disease and hopelessness. And these, in their turn, are the breeders of war. It's an endless cycle. I came here to get away from a world that will never change until nature itself changes. And for me, this was a very serious adventure. I wanted no headlines in the papers, no publicity stunt. I wanted no trippers coming to gawk at us. But I always knew that if one of you got out, he would begin to talk. And within a matter of days, the avalanche would descend on us. Does that answer your question?
No, those are words. You're a fake, Hugo. You act as though you tried to do each of us a favor. That's a lie. All you wanted was the sadistic pleasure of humiliating us, of watching us crack up. I was a failure, yes, but you didn't save me by bringing me here. You only wanted to see me sink lower and lower. You wanted to see Stefan's frightened eyes over your breakfast egg. You wanted to taunt Gloria for being such a fool as to idolize you. You wanted Heinrich, who had real capacity, to end in a vacuum, meaningless and empty. And you've kept us here. Not out of sympathy or caring or consideration, but because it feeds your vanity. You're a sick man, Hugo, with a sick mind. I'm glad you've been caught. These two kids are going to get us out of here, and I don't think you're going to stop them.
So I gather you plan to defy me.
Yes.
I should have realized that there was not one man in 1,000 capable of appreciating the values of leisure. It's too far out of date. But you, Lieutenant, you're a very special case. I have considerable sympathy for you. Quite naturally, you want to get on with your lives. But unfortunately, you can't do so without ruining our lives here. And therefore, I'm afraid you can't go.
No?
No. You see, you believe at this moment that Sue is out there filling your plane with gasoline. He isn't. At this moment, 2 of my men have him firmly bound, and he will not be released until I give the order.
Well, even that won't stop us, I'm afraid.
Won't it? I rather think it will, Lieutenant. And now I think it's time we all had a liqueur. Forgive me, I'll pick it up from the bar.
Oh, I don't want to seem melodramatic, Mr. Baston, but I'm going to use this if you try and interfere.
See, I miscalculated. I had no idea you'd resort to violence so quickly, Lieutenant.
Are you ready to give orders to have Sue released?
I have no choice, Ella.
None?
But may the prisoner make one request of his captor?
What's that?
Well, I should like, in the absence of our houseboy, to play host to my guests. Would you allow me to go to the bar and pick up a few bottles of liqueurs?
All right. I'll go with you.
Forgive us. We won't be a moment.
I hate all this. I hope you know how much I hate it.
Of course you do. Does anyone want another cup of coffee? Gloria?
No, thanks.
Stefan?
Thank you, yes.
Anyone else?
What's that?
What is it?
What was that?
You let him do this?
Do what? He hasn't done a thing. I've been watching him all the time.
Oh, Johnny, it's our whole supply of gas.
You knew this was going to happen all the time, didn't you? Didn't you?
Naturally.
Take it easy, Delaney. Now then, how'd this happen?
Well, I am cautious by nature, Lieutenant. You see, when I laid in the supply of gasoline, I also laid in a few secret concealed switches in order to fire it. One of them was located in the bar.
Touche, Mr. Baston. Touche.
And now it seems as though our last avenue of approach had actually been wiped out. I suggest we all make the best of it.
You are clever, Hugo. Very clever. But always there is a catch in it. Always.
Is there, Heinrich? Well, that we'll have to see. May I come in?
I'd rather you didn't.
You are angry, then?
I'm tired. Do you mind if we don't discuss it?
Yes, I do, Edith. I must know why.
You behaved very badly.
What did you want me to do? Send them off with my blessing, ruin everything we have here?
You might have consulted me.
Well, I had very little chance. I was facing a gun.
You made up your mind long before that. You simply took me for granted. You always have.
Which is the highest compliment I can pay you.
I think I should like a new kind of compliment for a change.
What?
You never stopped to put yourself in my place.
You've not been happy.
I'm not unhappy. I see plenty of you. I've lots to keep me occupied, but I think I've had enough of it. I should like a day's shopping for once and a gossip over lunch with another woman about her husband. I should like one day's good, honest drizzle.
I didn't know.
You didn't imagine. That's the compliment I miss.
It's a little late, Edith.
Perhaps a little of my disappointment was because of those two young things. I've grown very fond of them.
And they reminded you of all you've missed, is that it?
I suppose so.
I'm sorry.
I shan't hold it against you.
Will you be up soon?
No.
Is this to be a permanent separation?
I don't know. Probably not. I'm human. But for the time being, I'd rather be alone.
I see.
Do you, Hugo? Do you really?
I hope so.
Then you may have your kiss.
Good night, Edith.
Good night, Hugo.
Still smoking.
Yeah. That's why I turned my back. I didn't especially want to be reminded.
Nobody else down here?
No, only Dr. Maltson. He went over to the lab a little while ago. You didn't come in till quite late last night, did you, Johnny?
No. I walked around half the island. How'd you know?
I waited for you.
You what?
Oh, Johnny, we'll never be able to be married now. Not properly married, and so... Well, I tried to remember how the marriage ceremony went while I was waiting. I was able to say almost all of it, but... Well, I was wasting my time. You just didn't come.
Say it for me now.
No, it's not the moment now.
Good morning. It's a very fine day.
Good morning. It's always fine around here, isn't it?
Oh, but the fog. And last night, the fog came in very thick.
Well, you seem especially happy about it.
I am. Stefan has caught a cold. He was sneezing very badly this morning.
Hooray.
Oh,
It's late, it seems.
Edith?
Gloria, I didn't even know you were undressed yet.
Don't be funny, Edith. Though I must admit it is hard to take it seriously.
What?
The Marines have landed. Or to be exact, the United States Navy were invaded.
What?
Yes, it's true. They rode right up on the beach. Dan was for defending the beachhead, but I rather favored giving in.
Come on.
I wouldn't mind in the least being captured by what I saw.
Now, make some sense, Gloria. What happened?
Perfectly simple. We were down on the beach, and suddenly a boat appeared out of the mist. One of the men let out a wolf cry. I rather enjoyed it.
How? Where did they come from?
A destroyer, I think. Dan wasn't very polite about it. The minute he saw the officer in charge, and a dreamy thing he was, too, he chased me right up here to let you know.
Oh, Johnny.
But I didn't argue very much. At least it gives me the chance to see Hugo's face when I break the news. It hasn't quite fallen to pieces yet, but it will as the facts sink in. You do realize what this means, don't you, Hugo?
Yes, I realize. So you did get a message out, Lieutenant?
No, I didn't. Did you?
No.
Forgive me, that's rather hard to believe. The coincidence was a little too marked.
They can't make us go, Hugo.
No, that at least they cannot do.
Right this way, Lieutenant. Lieutenant Grant, everyone.
How do you do? Lieutenant Quayle?
Am I glad to see you?
How are you, boy?
Fine.
How in the world did you get in these waters? They've been looking for you 800 miles north of here.
Well, I seem to have gotten off my course a bit.
You certainly did. I gather you got a radio message through from our island, Lieutenant. No, sir. We just saw a large column of smoke and figured it was a signal of some sort. I was sent ashore to investigate. Lucky for you, we saw it, too. That is a matter of opinion, Lieutenant. Well, scarcely. You see, we had no report anyone was living on this island. Well, it was a rather private negotiation at the time of purchase. You mean you own this island? I do. That makes things a little awkward, sir, but I'm afraid even so, you people will have to evacuate just as soon as possible. Well, I'm sure there are ever so many of my guests who'd be very glad to go with you, Lieutenant. But my wife and I shall remain. Unless I'm speaking for myself alone.
No, I will stay, of course, Hugo.
I'm afraid that's not up to you to decide, sir. However, you'll receive full compensation. Well, I have no intention of going, Lieutenant. I came here as a matter of principle. I shall stay as a matter of principle. I'm afraid that would be impossible, sir. You see, we're conducting certain tests in this island, and your island is one of our targets. So naturally, it would be quite impossible for any of you to remain. I see. And when are these maneuvers scheduled to begin? Tomorrow morning, sir. I see.
Perhaps it's just not possible to escape anymore, Hugo.
No. It looks as though there was no longer any room for the 18th century. Perhaps you were right, Heinrich. There's always a catch in it. Always. Hi! Shoot!
Before we look at next week's Westinghouse program, here is something well worth remembering.
Why, how do you do? Do come in. Yes, and we want you to come in, too. Come through this Westinghouse model home with Mrs. Roger Adams of Green Bay, Wisconsin. We're sure you'll enjoy it because it's a Westinghouse home. And you can be sure if it's Westinghouse. Here's the friendly entrance with a lovely garden view beyond. And isn't this a beautiful bedroom? Light, airy, and spacious, the living room is ultra-modern. I bet you just saw that Westinghouse electric kitchen, Mrs. Adams. With that all-electric sink, the garbage disposer, and an electric dishwasher. This frost-free refrigerator freezes and stores many pounds of food with plenty of space for other storage. And here's the laundry room with a Westinghouse electric water heater, automatic dryer, and laundromat. Yeah, it looks like you want a laundromat, Mrs. Adams, when you get home. Well, there's a Westinghouse dealer in Mrs. Adams' town, and one in yours, too. So why not pay him a visit soon? Remember, whether it's a product for home or business, for farm or factory, you can be sure if it's Westinghouse.
The part of Hugo Baston was played by Worthington Minor. This is Paul Brinson saying goodnight for Westinghouse, inviting you to be with us again next week. Meanwhile, stop in at your dealers. See the sensational new Westinghouse television set with single dial control. And ask your Westinghouse dealer to show you the only refrigerator in the world that never needs defrosting. Anywhere, anytime. The amazing new Westinghouse frost-free refrigerator. And now, until next week, good night.